Still on the topical discussion, and of course, we are looking at the state of the country's economy and also examining the Ebola, and of course, what is the possible implication in case we had another lockdown in Uganda. And of course, don't forget Zabu, which has made your trading experience much more easy and friendly as you just dial *292#, as you will be availed with a number of options right there. You can choose a 5-year bond, whatever. Can choose to buy whatever stocks in whatever company right there. And of course, the markets open at 8:15 a.m. East African time, and they close. That's at exactly 3:15 p.m. They open at 8:15 a.m. East African time and close at 3:15 p.m. Still East African time. Zabu, do something new. Be in position to buy stocks at all techs. And of course, you can buy government bonds and also stocks on the different companies. And you can still sell your stocks at whatever time you really feel like you need your money back. All right, still on the topical discussion. And the second part, here we're going to be talking about Ebola. And this is something which is really causing quite a lot of tension in the country. You know what a lockdown really means to a country like Uganda. So this is something that Ugandans wouldn't really wish for. So the discussion still goes on. So, Mr. Barnabas,
yes,
the Minister of Health said if Ugandans don't follow the standard operating procedures, lockdown is coming.
The lockdown is coming. Let's begin, I think, by telling people what is Ebola is.
What is it?
Because many people might think it's a rumor. Many others might.
Yeah, some people think it's a rumor.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Ebola is among hemorrhagic fevers. It's like Marburg, though the causative agent of Ebola is different.
You know how you use that, some medical term right there, but it's fine. I believe my viewers can be able to get that.
Sure. Uganda has had many outbreaks of Ebola.
Yeah.
Only that this time around, we're having the Sudan variant causing Ebola.
Okay.
The other time in 2019, when Dr. Rokia died, the outbreak was Zaire, from Zaire variant. Okay. But now we're experiencing the fourth Ebola outbreak from Sudan variant, the fourth time. It last occurred in 2012. Okay. But in 2000, it happened in northern Uganda, and it killed almost half of people who had contacted it. Yes. The difference between this Sudan and the Zaire variant is that the Sudan variant is not severe. It's not severe. In a way it transmits. Okay. Than the Zaire. Okay. So we are having it here. Sudan. And the Ministry of Health confirmed it on 20th of September. From a 24-year-old Ugandan in Mubende. On the 15th of October, His Excellency President imposed the lockdown in the same area. But of late, the World Health Organization with our Ministry of Health notified us on 26th of this very month that we are having 115 cases of Ebola in Uganda. And among those 32 cases, people have died. And before, that is too bad. Because if we have 115 having it by 26th of October, 32 have died, and the fatality rate was around 28. That was 3-4 days back. Recently in Kampala, the minister said, Honorable Dr. Jane Luther Cheng, that we having almost 17 cases within Kampala. But good, this Ebola is not like COVID. Yeah. The transmissible rate of Ebola is a bit lower than that of COVID. Okay. And at least we can do contact monitoring. Because of late, we told you that these people who contacted Ebola in Kampala and Wakiso, it was a person who had Ebola and traveled from Mubende to this place. So you see where you loosen it out, where it went out of our hands. It was all about not monitoring. This person who had Ebola because he was discharged and he was a confirmed case in Mubende. He traveled to Kampala and contacted other fellow people.
Okay.
So back to the question that our Minister for
maybe before that, just a little, you talked about the Sudan variant.
Yeah.
And because I'm trying to speak for the viewer out there to really get a good picture. And because Sudan is in the north of Uganda.
Sure.
And I would expect that to come from Sudan.
From northern Uganda.
From northern Uganda. Yes. And how come we don't have any case,
in northern Uganda,
case as yet?
Sure, that is a very nice hypothesis. You see, how does this Ebola transmit? Ebola transmits in two ways. We have zoonotic transmission, that is from an animal to a human being. When this human being has eaten meat or has come into contact with anybody feeling infected of this animal. These animals, we're talking about primates, where we think that we came from. Chimpanzees, monkeys, and I can tell you can find a lot of monkeys in people's homes. Even outskirts of Kampala. Yeah. These mini forests.
I've seen one at my place too.
So before we go into immunization anyway, let us first combat how are we going to eradicate monkeys which are sharing even food with people. I can tell you along outskirts of Kampala, some mini forests have Aba monkeys. And these monkeys move from those trees, come into people's homes. They drink their water, you see. They leave their droppings there. Yeah. So you never know. So that answers the hypothesis of this Sudan variant, not from northern Uganda, but this time around from this side of Mubende. And also there is human-to-human transmission. So that's when you come into contact with me and I'm infected with this virus, God forbid, and then
and transmit it to someone else.
And transmit to someone. So why is Gulu not having Ebola, the northern Uganda, and we having it in the central Uganda here?
And Mubende.
And in Mubende, it's because the mode of transmission can be from animals to humans. Which animals? Primates. Monkeys, chimpanzees, so...
Because, anyway, I was thinking that could also be, because I'm thinking at least we could have two cases
up in
or one
Uganda.
case, but it's quite silent.
Sure.
Well, back to the statement.
Back to the statement of the Honorable Minister. Yes, everyone has to be vigilant. You see, Ebola, as I've told you, from person to person. If you don't, and we don't have a definitive treatment, we don't have an actual treatment for Ebola. And what we have to first address, and I argue our Ministry of Health, to make more awareness, because many people in the communities think that Ebola is when someone is vomiting blood, is when someone is passing out blood, which is actually not right. Because almost all cases of Ebola, those that present with the vomiting of blood and all passing out stool with the blood are less than 30%.
Sure.
So many cases are there. Someone has not developed vomiting blood or either dilating blood.
But yet they have Ebola.
So we need to make this clearer to people that, look, it's not about vomiting blood. It's not about dilating blood. There are these early symptoms.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what are those symptoms? Because I'm thinking, what do I have to feel?
Sure.
You know that?
You see, Ebola has an incubation period. Incubation period is this period when you've contacted the virus, and then this virus gets chance to build up from your body and starts manifesting symptoms. So it has an incubation period of between 8 to 10 days.
8 to 10 days.
8 to 10 days. That's when you expected to start seeing what? These weird
symptoms.
And what are they anyway? We're having headache, we're having fevers, we're having vomiting, lack of appetite.
Lack of appetite.
Yes, even it's there. We're having hiccups. Someone might develop hiccups and be like, maybe I didn't take water. But actually when this person is having
Ebola.
So I think we're having early signs and late signs. So this time it goes to our ministry but not the Ministry of Health alone, to every person to look for information about signs and symptoms of Ebola. Not forgetting that not only passing out blood or vomiting blood is a symptom of Ebola.
Okay.
Yes, many symptoms are there, as I've listed some. Yes, back to the statement of our Honorable Minister, everyone has to be vigilant about this. Because, as I've told you, there is no definitive treatment. The vaccination which is there, it's only for the Zaire variant. It doesn't work for the Sudan variant. You see, we're having almost 5 variants of Ebola. There is the Zaire, as I've told you, that was always disturbing us. There is this Sudan, which is here today. There is the Bundibuju variant. There is the Thai forest variant. This is believed to have come from the other sides of the Chinese. There is also the Leston variant. But in Africa here, it's all about Sudan and Zaire. Those are most prevalent cases. Yes.
So now let's talk about, because what's on every Ghanaian's mind is a lockdown. And let's examine the potential of a lockdown right now, based on the country's current state of the economy.
Sure, in my opinion, at this economy, which is hand to mouth, at the economic regulations we've discussed earlier, in my opinion, I don't think that a lockdown is necessary. This is not talking in line of having our economic diversities and sustaining them on the stake of people's lives. No. What I'm trying to mean is that you cannot take away a walking stick from a lame person and you tell him to walk.
Okay.
We already down upon the economic crisis, and then going back to a lockdown. My brother, I can tell you there are a lot of consequences following a lockdown.
At such a time.
Take a case study of the previous lockdowns. Look, if they lock down Kampala here and the metropolitan area, Kampala is believed to house in and out 3.6 million a day. Those
3.6 million.
Going, coming, and it's the central business district of Uganda. If you shut it down, there are a lot of consequences. Revenues will be down, taxes collected will be down, there will be what we call supply chain disruption. Because many people grow their things and they bring them to Nakasero. So you've broke up Nakasero, which is in Kampala, just know you've broke up the supply
supply chain.
What does that mean? People harvesting their things, those things will perish off from those points. There is also what we call the economic depression. People have passed through a lot. Like the previous lockdowns, it started as 21 days. It went to 1 month.
It started as 14.
It started as 14. So the more we lock down, it's the more we're depleting our economy. Yes.
Well, now talking about that still particular aspect, you talked about the Sudanese variant, and you say that there is no vaccine for it as yet. Yet it's less transmissible. And to me, that sounds like it's less. It's not as, which is more serious anyway. The Sudanese variant in terms of
effects.
Yes.
Sure, Ebola is Ebola. But the prognosis, look, I've said that Zaire variant is severe and its mortality rate is high.
So it's severe.
It's more severe than this Zaire, than this Sudan. But this Sudan, it has surprised us. Because the way it is transmitting, it brings us to a conclusion that diseases don't read books. Yes, because I've told you, Zaire is more than Sudan. But now the way our Sudan is moving, it is like proving that diseases, we don't read books.
Because it's like the recent Omicron variant. It was less effective, but it was moving so fast.
Sure. And actually, this thing has, like the lockdown, this discussion we're in, it shouldn't be considered. There are other options. There are other options for a lockdown.
Instead of a lockdown.
You see, Al Jazeera report said that Ugandan government is reluctant and slow.
Sure.
In a way it has combated this spread. They didn't mean to put a lockdown. Yes.
What did?
They meant that, look, you don't injecting more logistics in the fight. We've had 32 deaths and 4 are health workers.
But we've seen a lot of health workers die of it. It's not the first. It's not news in Uganda.
You see, a health worker where you went to get aid from, and this person is dying, which person not death. So we're trying to empower our government through the Ministry of Health to inject more logistics.
More logistics.
To equip the health workers. Because at the end of the time, these people go there, there is no definitive treatment. We're just going to give them supportive treatment. But yet, even us, we need protection. Because I cannot treat someone and unfortunately I die, you see. And also there is this concern of the deterioration and marginalization of already infected people. I don't know if you heard of a story where someone who was contacted the virus was treated and this person healed, but going back to the area, to his home area, people started to stigmatize.
Yes, yet he's healed.
This person, yet this person was already healed.
But I think he's not supposed to be in people for some time.
That might not be, that might be there, but I'm looking at the gist of stigmatizing a person who was healed.
Okay.
So I think there is a lot to do about sensitizing the masses to know what actually takes place. You've had Ebola, you can heal. How can it contact me? Where can I get it from? Such that these patients who have already healed don't face challenges of being stigmatized. Because someone might heal of Ebola and go commit suicide. Okay. Then what is what?
What is what?
Yes. There are many options that we can opt to combat the spread than thinking of a lockdown.
A lockdown.
Yes, and this capacity, I would advise the government really not to think about, on a serious note, not to think about a lockdown, in my opinion.
Okay. Now, what's your take on Uganda Medical Association coming up to add for lockdown? I'm trying to think, were they scared of their roles they ought to do to ensure that we combat this virus, which is not even as strong as the Zaire, despite it spread so fast? What do you think it's thinking? What is that part? Okay, majority of the people, of course, have been judgmental towards him. But I want us to be positive.
Sure.
What do you think was in his mind that influenced him to say that we need a lockdown? Yet before, we've not been having lockdowns in this case of Ebola.
I think that was a straight message to the government that bring more equipment to us such that we can fight.
But did we have more equipment then?
So it means that
before this Zaire.
Look, what I'm trying to mean is Uganda Medical Association, to bring that on table, it was indirectly informing the government that, look, people don't want this, but if you don't equip us, we will also opt for this.
Opt for this.
That was the hidden message behind that. Okay. But I would think that way.
You would think that way?
Yes, that it was an hidden message to the government that, look, if you don't equip us well, this is up to this, and people don't want it. Yes. But there are other things we can do, like not a total lockdown, because we know Ebola spreads contact to contact. Let us minimize social gatherings, because there are some things we need to take seriously. Why do you congest many on a social gathering? Yet you know this disease spread from one to one. So I would government, instead of thinking of a total lockdown, which will impact the economics and other dynamics, we should think of other ways like minimizing, put SOPs, like how we used to bury people in COVID, like how we didn't use to go to functions. Yes, there are some other things that can be placed there instead of a total lockdown, such that we can move things right.
Okay.
Yes, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that's great. But still back to that question. I'm thinking of the Uganda Medical Association.
Sure.
Did we, let's rewind back 2019, the cases when we had severe cases. How was the medical atmosphere at that moment vis-a-vis what's going on right now? Because sometimes the lockdown might have created something in people that I think this is one of the only ways, because it did actually, it did minimize the spread to some extent globally, and also in Uganda at large. And I think that's why actually for Uganda's case, we had the deaths we had of COVID. Some countries were losing such numbers in one day.
Sure.
So let's look into that.
We appreciate the efforts that are being done by the ministry, one. The efforts that are being done by the government, two. The efforts that are being done by who? The World Health Organization.
Yeah.
And the efforts that are being done by health workers at large, because they are doing a very great work. But look, you might get someone out of a problem and you take that person into death. Many people died of depression.
Yeah.
I think you read a report that was released, I think 3 months back by the Daily Monitor, that almost 14 million of Ugandans having mental issues.
You're right.
Following these lockdowns, subsequent lockdowns. So what was there then? COVID was killing people seriously. And this Ebola is contacting minimal deaths. What can we do to balance? We move dynamics right. People are going in Christmas. This is the very busiest season in a year. This is the very busiest season where people make a lot of money, where people try to juggle here and there with the life. So if we eye for a lockdown, really it won't do good. But this goes back to us. Let's be vigilant.
As the public.
Sure, let's be vigilant. Let's not be thinking that we should always discourage government of bringing up some policies, but instead let's also think otherwise. That government is thinking for Ugandans. Ugandans, what are we doing?
Okay.
Let's follow SOPs. Simple.
Okay.
Yes, simple. Because simple things cost nothing, but can lead to death.
Death.
Yes.
So let's wind up this discussion as we talk about the trial vaccines which are coming in.
Oh, sure.
What's your take on that?
Sure. As we've said, there is no vaccine for Sudan variant. But UVRI and the information pertaining that. But I would argue everyone to get protected. You see, vaccination always gives us a secondary protection.
Okay.
So if you're protected, well and what?
Well and good.
Well and good. Because if you're not protected, many people think of herd immunity, that if we are 1,000 in a community, let's mobilize 500, they go immunize, they protect us. Be one in that herd immunity. Yes.
Now, another question, something which confuses me regarding that. It takes 10 years to develop a vaccine.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Of course, that follows recently when the COVID-19 pandemic took place, people got vaccinated.
Sure.
Well, fine. If it worked out for them, well and good.
Sure.
So if they develop a vaccine right now for that Sudan variant, how reliable are these vaccines? And why are these vaccines even tried on people? Because I'm thinking 10 years, so how do you develop a vaccine in months? And it's a year, and it's relevant to people's health.
Surely, in medical professions, that's unethical.
It's unethical.
It's totally unethical.
Okay.
To just bring something not scientifically proven. Okay, it might be scientifically proven, but how other races, because we're having different genetics. You might see the genetics of Americans different from genetics of us.
Yes.
So we need to first give it a time, such that we see how does it react. You see, in COVID, there is a student who died. I think he was in Impigi, and he was buried in Masaka. Mm. It was the concern that this child was immunized at school without consent.
Consent, yeah.
But good, always the government stipulates that vaccination is by consent, not by force.
Okay.
So from uninformed consent, someone requests a vaccination. Only that we request the government not to take it a mandatory. Let us not take this vaccination to be mandatory. Because if you make it to be a mandatory vaccination without people's consent, that is not ethical.
Okay.
In my opinion.
It's not ethical.
It's not ethical. Yes.
So, but they're doing it. It's being done worldwide.
We need we need to, because we're not guinea pigs.
Yeah.
We cannot be taken as rats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Laboratory.
Yes, we cannot be sampling tools. We need to be. We need to get they need to get our consent anyway. But all in all, the ministry will update us on what will transpire about these vaccinations.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barnabas. All right. And of course, it's been quite a wide topic of discussion today as we talked about the state of the country's economy, and we came down to understanding Ebola, and of course to understand what are we dealing with, what are we fighting with. You know, the most fears of the mankind is dealing with the unknown. So it's always good to understand what we are dealing with so that we get to know what is the appropriate decision that should be carried out to combat the possible effect. Yes, we've come to the end of the topical discussion, and of course, it's exactly 27 minutes. That's past the hour of 9 a.m. At this particular time, we're going to get into a short commercial break, and of course, we shall be returning with more SMB updates. Good morning.